my darling, stand by me. No matter who you are, no matter where you go in life, you gon' need somebody to stand by you.
And my mother was talking about starting up with the credit union. Herself and a neighbour, Mrs. Dunno, went down to the hall to the first night, and that they joined up and they had to have their 2 shillings, and it was mostly women who were down there at that stage, because it was all the women were looking after the money in the houses at that stage. Husbands came in, paid in the money, and the wives took care of it after that. It was very hard for soldiers to get credit, because if somebody defaulted on payments to the banks or anything like that, they could be taken to court. But due to the legislation that was in since the emergency and etc., soldiers couldn't be taken to court. They had this guarantee, I suppose, security of the state and all that. So the credit unions really opened up avenues of credit for soldiers, well, soldiers' wives mostly, because it's all the wives that would, I suppose, if you look through the membership, it would be the wives that would have started as memberships of the credit union. And
every Tuesday night, and they came in and they did it voluntarily. Fabulous women.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah. And about how many volunteers were there in those days?
12, 14.
Yeah.
As many as that, like. They kept the records up to speed.
But these volunteers now, they would not have been on committees. There was
generally not, no.
They were just purely volunteers.
Purely
to help
volunteers, helpers.
With the books.
With the books and whatnot. Every one of them was sworn into confidentiality and secrecy because of
1979, I'd say, through the Legion of Mary. I definitely saw the credit union as being a tremendous asset in Fermoy. It did wonderful things, because when I came to Fermoy first, there was a lot of poverty, and many people had emigrated. Money was terribly scarce. Bills were mounting, and people were depending on borrowing money from the wrong sources.
No matter how much money you got, all the friends you got, you gon' need somebody to stand by you.
a lot of people were, the only way they could get credit or anything like that was in regard to the telemen.
Oh, they were frightening. They were very frightening, and poor, especially women. Women were the ones who, I suppose, ran the house, because the man usually was away working.
I'd often see him coming once a week. Sometimes you see him coming and then he'd be opening the boot of the car and he'd be taking stuff out. And if it's outside your door, well, you know, we might be getting a pair of shoes or something, because that was ordered the week before or something like that, you know.
They brought the beautiful rugs, or the blankets, or the shoes, or the skirts for the children, and all this. So it enticed, of course, if your child had no shoes, or wanted a new skirt, or a new dress, or whatever, and this came into your house, sure, it was wonderful. And you'd be tempted to buy, and you would buy. And he was encouraging you all the ways to do this. But then, the time came when you had to pay.
And that was I suppose, the only credit that was opened to the working man at that stage was the telemen.
And to pay them back, they would be at every corner when they get the children's allowance, which wasn't much in those days, and they'd be waiting for them to take the book, to give them the book, for the ladies to go in and collect the children's allowance, and they'd be waiting to take it from their hands when they came out. It was pitiful. Therefore, the credit union did wonderful things for that. Wonderful things. Yeah. And if they didn't pay it because they couldn't afford to pay it, or they hid, or whatever they did, they had a hard time. Until
the credit unions opened up. And I think as the credit unions got stronger, as well, I suppose my credit union got stronger, see less and less of the telemen coming. For the calling, the car wasn't there, you know. It was very noticeable that the telemen hadn't the business there anymore, and that there was credit available and the credit was available in the credit union for mine.
When the night has come and the land is dark and that moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't shed one tear just as long as your people come and stand by me.
The first meeting I went in, it was in Newmarket Street, in the old offices in Newmarket Street, and I went upstairs, sat down for the first meeting and came out as secretary. But it was a bit of a baptism of fire, but nonetheless it was very interesting and a very good way to jump in at the deep end and get to know an awful lot about the credit union.
So we thought it was terribly important for young people to start saving early in their lives. So we started the Junior Credit Union once a week in Newmarket Street in the office there, the credit union. And we went around to the schools of the parish and told them what we were going to do, and we encouraged them in every way. Now, the first year we probably had a small crowd, but the Senior Credit Union gave us money, and we went away and we bought toys and nice things. And I think the first prize was a bicycle. And I can still remember the boy who won that. He was out in Corn, of Ballyone. And the excitement of that was fantastic. We take the prizes around to the schools, and the excitement. The teachers were very good, and they bring them all into one room and we show them the toys. And then, of course, that brought more members in to us on the Saturday. And we'd have the party then to give out the prizes. And when you got to come in the door, you got a ticket. So everybody in the audience nearly got something, and that was lovely.
And darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by. Come on, stand by me. Yeah. Oh, when the sky that we look upon, when she tumble and fall on the mountains, they should crumble into the sea. I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Please stand by me. Stand by me. And don't
Okay, at the time when I joined the credit union, it had a value, I vaguely remember being somewhere around about the £500,000 at that stage. And very soon we were at 1 million. But our way of celebrating the 1 million was we were afraid to spend a penny, so we borrowed a banner from Mitchelstown Credit Union where they had reached the 8 million level. And we put a patch over the 8 and put a 1 on it and hung up our banner saying that we had reached 1 million.
It was a massive achievement to make the million. And in a short time, like, it was 4 million.
It was only a very short hop to us being worth 8 million. And we began to realise that as volunteers, we simply couldn't give it the amount of day-to-day attention that an organisation worth 8 million would need. So we decided that we would take on a professional manager. And that was really the beginning of huge growth in Fermoy Credit Union. Once we took on the manager and having somebody there who could care for the members and the business on a day-to-day basis and network with all the other managers and see all the opportunities for growth that there were. Fermoy Credit Union went from being a follower to being one of the leaders and one of the pushers for innovation in the credit union movement. So when Morgan Spillane became available, we jumped at it. We moved down into the main street, and it was not only a move in terms of location, but it was also a move in terms of the whole way Fermoy Credit Union was perceived by the people of Fermoy. While we were up in Newmarket Street, a number of people still would have considered it to be a place where you could kind of almost scuttle into under the cover of darkness. Whereas when we were in the main street, people began to recognise that this was a really vibrant and thriving organisation that they would be proud to be part of. And we attracted a huge new membership when we moved down into the town.
I went to the credit union when I was only 12 at the AGM, and I can remember it being at 324. The first manager was Brendan Cotter, and then Martina took over from him.
The central bank, as it's now known, would have taken over the regulations of credit unions, and I was appointed in April 2007, and that was the occasion where we actually had a delayed AGM. Our AGM was delayed for over 6 months, and I remember being in Coloston Creeveen the night of the AGM, and members were very discontent at the fact that the AGM had been delayed, and the fact that there was only a return of 1% dividend being put forward by the board.
A night that the board was criticised from their head to their feet, but I stood up and I said, listen here to me, the board had to take savage decisions, but we'll come out at the best end of this, so we can be criticising forever. But I said, would one of you just say one word of praise to the board, and they'll give you another round extra that you didn't expect at all, and the board would do it.
But in the long term, the loyalty of the members through those difficult days of the credit union really was fantastic, and the members supported the board and they supported the staff in actually putting in place the processes and procedures that were required by the central bank under their new watchdog, I suppose, or big brother watch, or whatever you want to call it.
So darling, stay. Oh, stay. Oh, stay. Stay by your phone. Stay by me. Stay. Oh, won't you stay? Oh, stay. Stay by your phone. Stay by me.
That was kind of the beginning of where we saw the impact of the recession. 2008, we had the collapse of Lehman Brothers, and people might say, well, how did the collapse of Lehman Brothers impact on Fermoy Credit Union? But it did, because we would have had investment products. A large amount of the money that members actually lodge into us as savings is actually put on investment, because we aren't able to lend all of it out. And that then would have had, the collapse, the worldwide financial collapse in September 2008 would have had an impact on the credit union.
At the start of the credit unions, the main aim for the credit unions was to stop money lenders. But now we've gone to the stage, from what I understand, there's 2 licensed money lenders in Fermoy, and it's alleged that there's 1 or 2 unlicensed money lenders in Fermoy as well, offering services to people whose credit has been cut off.
We would have been, unfortunately, under regulatory restriction for a number of years, but I'm delighted to say that those restrictions have in the main been lifted.
I don't think there's another financial institute anywhere near it. They're all trying to make profit. This was for the good of the people, and I'm sure it still is for the good of the parish. Yeah.
Last year we set up a social fund, and this was basically to help people like that if they have problems, they come to the credit union, we talk to them, and if at all possible we will help them. We're working with MABS now at the moment, and we're working with Vincent de Paul. So we have a fund set up, and it's a high risk loans, alright, but it's covered under this.
Oh yes, it has. It has done tremendous things for people.
And you'd see parents coming into the credit union with their kids, opening up new accounts, and maybe their grandparents then had been involved as founding members, and you can see how it becomes kind of a big family. Fermoy Credit Union today, we have 19 staff, which has come a long way from where Mary Fitzgerald joined the credit union 38 years ago. Between us, if you look at the service that we've over 200 years of service to Fermoy Credit Union. We have Mary Fitzgerald 38 years, Eileen Fox with 28 or 29 years, and then myself with 15 years. But if you look at all of the staff, we've over 200 years of service to Fermoy Credit Union. The staff are very loyal, very flexible and committed. So I think everybody benefits from that type of working relationship.
Yeah.
When the night has come and the land is dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see. But I won't be afraid. I won't.
You have You're Already out in the schools. So we're in, I think it's 14 schools locally. We actually have a girl who goes out and does a lot of promotions in the school, and we are actually opening a school branch in Closh-on-Creeveen in the new year.
So will the branch be staffed by students?
It will be staffed by students, but assisted by the credit union.
Volunteers?
Volunteers, yeah, student volunteers.
Like the old days?
Yes, yeah, going back to the old way of doing things in the schools. So we'd have, we'd hope kind of a team of 5. So we're setting up, the application process now will start in January, and so we'll be interviewing, so it'll be, like a job. We'll be interviewing people, must apply, and we'll be setting up the branch from that then, and they'll have responsibility for, cashing up, doing the transactions, that type of thing. So, yeah. But what we pride ourselves on is the actual continued service to our members. We have people who coming into the credit union on a week-to-week basis to come into Fermoy, do their shopping, and a little trip into the credit union to put in their savings, pay their loan. We welcome those people coming into the office, and we'd actually see people that would wait at the top of the queue for the teller that they always deal with, and when you buzz for next, they'd actually wait at the top of the queue because they want to get Osra or Eileen or Burr, because they're used to dealing with them, and that's something that other financial institutions don't want these days, whereas we do.
Not as long as you, yeah. Stand by me. Hey, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great what they did for the town, donating a lot of money for the lights, and I heard they were doing something along the lines of cleaning up some of the buildings and paints and stuff. I don't know.
Yes, part of it.
Fermoy Credit Union is a great asset to the town. It's a great service. The staff are very friendly and it's very accessible to people.
We had a big party the other day with a minion dancing outside.
Excellent.
50 years.
So next year, do you think you'll be members of Fermoy Credit Union?
Probably this year.
This year?
Yeah.
Excellent, great, and we welcome to all these members soon. Thank you very much.
It is indeed. We'd be absolutely lost without it. Very good staff, friendly staff. Don't lend where there's no requirement to lend, and they look after the locals. They do.
All right. Thank you very much.
I think they're brilliant.
Very good. And what do you think it does for the people in the town?
But it's a great help to a lot of families like in the town. I stay there every week.
Right.
As much as I can. I think it's great. It's just good for the people in the town.
And how do you find the staff and the service that's there?
Good. Yeah,
good.
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you prefer if they went towards the machine type of like the banks?
No.
You prefer the personal service?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.